It's an exciting time to be here with the New Hampshire primary speeches, and Michael Steele just made a speech on the behalf of Gpack and the Republican Party. Michael, it's good to have you here. Now, the folks from Boston and New Hampshire, parts of Rhode Island and Connecticut will be listening to us this week. So first of all, I want you to tell them what Gpack is all about and then why you were here today.
Well, Gpack is a grassroots organization, a national organization founded by Governor Pete DuPont in 1978. And its singular purpose is to identify and train Republican candidates at the grassroots level, state and local level. So we train sheriffs and not congressmen so much, but governors and state legislators on the fine art of running for office and getting elected, and helping them with messaging and money and things like that. And so it's a great tool. In fact, under Newt Gingrich's leadership in the late 80s, early 90s, it led to the takeover of the Congress in 1994. Majority of the class of 1994 graduates of the Gpack program. After the '06 election, I was approached by then Chairman J.C. Watts, who's an old buddy of mine, and former Speaker Newt Gingrich, to consider taking over Gpack, and I thought it would be a great challenge. So we've been having a good time traveling around the country, rebuilding the grassroots of the party, and reconnecting it with voters in a very genuine way that speaks to not just the values of the party, but its principles and its foundations and the tools that we need to bring to help people realize the importance of the American dream in their lives.
Now, when you say the American dream, I heard you talking about your mother, but what is the American dream to you? A lot of people have a great apathy about that nowadays. They're not turning out for elections. What does that actually mean?
They shouldn't. I mean, I think the American dream, it's a very individual thing. That's the beauty of it. The American dream is what you want it to be. For a lot of us, it's ownership, it's opportunity. For others, it's peace of mind. It's the realization that we're part of something that's bigger than all of us, that we are a community that believes in some fundamental principles of life and liberty, that we recognize the value of reaching out and touching others, and creating a sense of importance in all that we do to further the desires and the expectations of all Americans. And so, as an African American, it's important for me that the dream be real, because there have been many in my family, and certainly throughout the heritage of African Americans, who've suffered and died for that dream, who helped build this country and make it what it is today. And so we do have a stake in this, and it's something my mother taught me as a young man, that despite the racism and the segregation and the ugly words, America's still yours. And I think that's a very valuable lesson that the party can take to the people of this country, because we are the party that not just talked about freeing slaves, but did it. Not just talked about creating wealth, but did it. And so I think that that's an important aspect and attribute of what the American dream is.
I just finished writing a book with Peter Marshall and David Manuel called the Crimson Cross series, and one of the books that I researched for 2 years in the archives in Plymouth, old white gloves on, the whole thing, was all about the crossing of the Mayflower and the original vision for America by those people. They understood this would become the land of prosperity, and the venture of freedom for all was a great possibility. Many people mistakenly think they came just for the idea that they could worship freely, but they already had that in Holland. The real reason they came is because their pastor had prophetic visions, dreams, and utterances for his congregation about coming to share the message of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ with the native population and provide a beachhead, a safe landing, a solid place for all that would come. And I know Thomas Jefferson was not a Republican the way we think of, right? And he was not known to be a Christian evangelical voice. He was a deist. But even he warned us, and our words, and I believe it's the Marine hymn, from the shores of Montezuma to the halls of Tripoli. Do I have that backwards? He was engaged in a war at that time, where all of our frigate ships were involved in it, to fight the Muslim pirates. And he warned that we should never allow the immigration of people of, a violent faith or violent religion to come here without first attempting to convert their heart to the benevolence of the Christian Judaic ethic, one that he was questioned as to whether he even believed in. But, he saw the wisdom, and he said America is different because it adheres itself to the responsibility of following those guidelines. So that was part of the American dream of our original founding fathers. How far do you think we've wandered from that?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think when you create a pluralistic society, when you have a pluralistic vision of America, it invites itself to a lot of different tables, and a lot of different folks show up. And I think part of the challenge for America going forward is how we can continue to coalesce and blend in a way that the core principles, the founding principles of this nation are not lost. They're not transcribed into something else, but in fact they're lifted up as a beacon, like the Statue of Liberty, to shine to the rest of the world that we are tolerant, we are a giving, we are a forgiving, we are an understanding people, but we also are people that believe very fervently in our own security and the security of those values, the security of this nation, and we will not allow anyone to tread on our flag, on our soil, who have the intent of putting us in harm's way. And I think that is a fundamental principle that has not changed, and it sometimes gets a little diluted, or people maybe don't believe it as fervently, but I think the core essence of it is still there. And as we continue to grow as a country, we'll be challenged to remember that, and we'll be challenged to adhere to those principles that have kept us safe and secure for almost 300 years.
I appreciate it.